Hey there guys, EctoMaster here. We are back with another edition of the Overwatch Lookout, where we take a look at Overwatch, any news that there may be, any opinions that I may have, or, in this case, where we're going to look at the background stories of a couple of characters. And it may be 2 or 3 characters that we look at, so we'll get into it. There isn't anything news-wise, but I did notice a couple of articles that were written over the last week about Overwatch. And I'm going to discuss those very quickly here. One of them is called The Changes We Might See in Overwatch, and this comes from redbull.com, so interesting. Anyways, it just kind of covers about 3 bases of what we might see in change-wise, diminishing returns being one of them, whereas, for example, instead of always getting stuck in that God, what am I thinking of it? Of, the trap from Junkrat, there we go. You would get stuck in it for a much shorter period of time. They're saying that's a change we might see. Now, they didn't speak to anybody officially from They didn't speak officially to anyone from Blizzard. These are more, professional FPS players. There's Backfire, so there might be change, and barriers, maybe a change in barriers. So just something kind of interesting. I am going to leave links to both of these articles down below. The other is the diversity of Overwatch overwhelmed? And this is kind of touching on the point that there may be more, with the possibility of more heroes, new zones, or new battlefields, new maps. They're wondering whether or not there may already be too many heroes to begin with, and by adding more, it could make the game even more complex and too overwhelmed in choosing a hero, and that it's more like a MOBA, and that you have to learn each hero specifically and that kind of thing. To touch on this one, I just think that's kind of silly. They say in standard FPS, it's, you learn a type of gun, you learn a type of gun. Yeah, and that's standard FPS. This is not, Overwatch, yeah. You know what's going on by the type of gunshots, but at the same time, a guy could be using an overpowered, assault rifle on you that you don't even have access to yet. And there is no winning against that, where in Overwatch, you can be getting your ass kicked by Bastion, you switch over to Tracer, get behind him, and boom, he's dead. You have counters to everything. Somebody who has one of the best games, best guns, best upgrades to a game in the game, it's just going to make it harder to handle than it is anything else. So, I don't know. I think that's like, yeah, that's, if there was like 100 heroes in Overwatch, then I would say it's overwhelmed. There's 21 right now, and I could see them maybe getting up to 30 to 50 in that range, and no more than that. Because then I think it starts getting a little ridiculous. I could see them doubling what they have and being fine. And even more so, it's you look at it, there's one sniper who uses a sniper rifle, then you have another sniper who uses a bow and arrow. It's fairly easy. And they also touch on, you gotta learn the ultimates, and I'm sitting here going, yeah, but not all the ultimates are offensive. For example, Widowmaker's ultimate is, she shows you where all the enemies are at. It's offensive in the sense that, yeah, you know where the guys are, even through walls, but it doesn't really do anything to harm the other players. Symmetra's is a teleport. It's a portal, and it can only be used so many times to begin with. So, you destroy the portal, that's over and done with until she gets her ultimate again. I think that may be on the changes we might see. I may have gone back onto the one. Yeah, that was the changes we might see. And that, you kill them a few times and their ultimate meter's up. Well, that's the way it works, so. I don't know. I like it, I like that they're starting to question some of the stuff, but I think some of the questions are just kind of baseless and just like, whoa, this isn't how it's always done. No, it's not. That's why it's new and it's interesting. And I like it. On top of that, all the other articles I've been seeing from the last week is, when is the beta coming? They said mid to late January. It's mid-January. When's the beta coming? I'm not worried about that. I'm excited just like everybody else, and if I get into it, we'll have new footage. But, yeah, that's it. Anyways, let's move on to some of the backstories on the heroes. So we're going down the list. We're going to cover Bastion, we're going to cover Diva, and if we have time, we'll cover, I think it's Genji as well. So we will look into all of that here very, very shortly, as in like next couple of seconds. So let's go ahead and take a look at Bastion. Now, I will say this, again, the video feed that I have in the back here is all the stuff that I had beforehand. All the videos that I've released, this is all the video footage I have. So yeah, we're seeing repeat stuff, and yeah, I don't have everything linked up. I don't have Bastion linked to Bastion. I don't have Genji at all. So I'm just going to read the story off of Overwatch Wiki, or overwatch.wikia.com, and we'll just go from there. So, Bastion. Once a frontline combatant in the devastating Omnic Crisis, the curious Bastion unit now explores the world, fascinated by nature but wary of a fearful humanity. Originally created for peacekeeping purposes, Bastion robot units possess the unique ability to rapidly reconfigure themselves into an assault cannon mode. But during the Omnic Crisis, they were turned against the human makers, forming the bulk of the Omnic's rebel army. Following the resolution of the crisis, nearly all of them were destroyed or disassembled. To this day, Bastion units still symbolize the horrors of the conflict. One unique Bastion unit, severely damaged in the final battles of the war, was left forgotten for over a decade. It lay dormant, exposed to the elements, and rusting while nature slowly reclaimed it. Overgrown with vines and roots nested upon by small animals, the robot sat inert, seemingly unaware of the passing of time. That was until one fateful day, when it unexpectedly reactivated. With its combat programming all but lost, it instead displayed an intense curiosity about the natural world and its inhabitants. This inquisitive Bastion unit set out to explore its surroundings and discover its purpose on a war-ravaged planet. Though Bastion appears to be gentle, even harmless at times, its core combat programming takes over when the unit senses danger, utilizing its entire arsenal to eliminate anything it perceives as a threat. This has led to instances of conflict with the few humans it has encountered, and has driven it to avoid populated areas in favor of the wild, uncharted regions of the world. Bastion is one I love playing, especially on Hanamura. You kind of just get into tank mode and just sit in a corner and mow people down.
Play of the game.
Alright, moving on to Diva. Diva is one of the tanks that I love the most. She's kind of fun to play. Her backstory is as follows. Diva is a former professional gamer who now uses her skills to pilot a state-of-the-art mech in defense of her homeland. 20 years ago, South Korea was attacked by a colossal Omnic monstrosity that rose from the depths of the East China Sea. The massive, lumbering construct caused catastrophic damage to coastal cities before it was driven back beneath the waves. In response, the South Korean government developed a mechanized armored drone unit called Mecha to protect urban environments in future engagements with the Omnic threat. The government's fears proved to be well-founded as a disturbing pattern of attacks emerged. Every few years, the monstrosity would rise from the sea to assault South Korea and its neighbors. The Omnic learned from these encounters, often reconfiguring itself into a different form and appearing with new weapons and capabilities. Each incident ended in a stalemate, with the monstrosity defeated, but not destroyed. As the Omnic continued to adapt, it eventually disrupted Mecha's drone control networks, forcing the military to place pilots in the mechs. Scrambling to find suitable candidates, the government turned to the country's professional gamers, who possess the necessary reflexes and instincts to operate the mechs, advanced weapons systems. Top stars were drafted, including reigning world champion Hana Song, also known as Diva, Famous from her elite skills, Diva was a fierce competitor who played to win at all costs, and she had a well-earned reputation for showing no mercy to her opponents. Seeing her new mission as game, Diva fearlessly charges into battle alongside the rest of her mecha unit, ready to spring to her nation's defense at a moment's notice. Recently, she has begun to stream combat operations to her adoring fans, and her growing following has turned her into a global icon. Again, I love Diva. She's a lot of fun to play, especially controlling the mech, and the mech's ability to explode and cause like a diversion is fantastic. Absolutely love that. So there you have it. That's Diva. We're going to talk about Genji, and you know what? If we have time, we might just do one more. We might. We'll see. I'll bring it up just in case. Anyways, Genji. The cyborg Genji Shimada has made peace with the augmented body he once rejected, and in doing so, he has discovered a higher humanity. As the youngest son of the master of the Shimada ninja clan, Genji lived a life of luxury and privilege. He had little interest in the family's illegal businesses, and although he excelled at and enjoyed his ninja training, he spent most of his time pursuing a playboy lifestyle. Many within the clan considered the carefree Genji to be a dangerous liability, and they resented his father for coddling and protecting him. Following the clan leader's untimely death, Genji's older brother, Hanzo, demanded that Genji take a more active role in their late father's empire. Genji refused, enraging Hanzo. The tension between the brothers built to a violent confrontation that left Genji on the verge of dying. Hanzo believed that he had killed his brother, but Genji was rescued by Overwatch and the intervention of Dr. Angela Ziegler. The global security force saw Genji as a potential asset in its ongoing operations to combat the Shimada clan. As Genji's injuries left him clinging to life, Overwatch offered to rebuild his body in exchange for his health. He was put through an extensive process of cyberization, which enhanced his natural speed and agility and augmented his superlative ninja skills. Transformed into a living weapon, Genji single-mindedly set about the task of dismantling his family's criminal empire. But as time passed, Genji felt increasingly at war with himself. He was repulsed by the mechanical parts of his body and could not come to grips with what he had become. When his mission was complete, he abandoned Overwatch and wandered the world in search of meaning. He drifted for many years before crossing paths with the Omnic monk, Zenyatta. Although Genji initially rejected Zenyatta's wisdom, the benevolent Omnic would not be deterred. In time, Zenyatta became his mentor, and under the monk's tutelage, Genji reconciled his dual existence as both man and machine. He learned to accept that although he had a cyborg body, his human soul was intact, and he came to see his new form as a gift and a unique strength. Now, for the first time in his life, Genji is free. Even he cannot say where his path will ultimately lead. And you know what? We'll do one more. We'll do the flip side of this. I haven't really played Genji or Hanzo. Haven't had really the chance. Again, I only had 3 days to play, and I didn't get a whole lot of chances to really actually play it. Well, let's go ahead and take a look at it, at Hanzo. And if we don't have any news or anything next week, we'll continue with some more of these background stories. We'll look at maybe at 3 or 4 more. So, Hanzo, the story of Hanzo. Mastering his skills as a bowman and an assassin, Hanzo Shimada strives to prove himself as a warrior without peer. The Shimada family was established centuries ago, a clan of assassins whose power grew over the years, enabling them to build a vast criminal empire that profited from lucrative trade in arms and illegal substances. As the eldest son of the family's head, Hanzo was bound by duty to succeed his father and rule the Shimada Empire. From a young age, he was trained for that responsibility, displaying a natural aptitude for leadership and possessing an innate understanding of strategy and tactics. He also excelled in more practical areas. He was a prodigy in martial arts, swordplay, and bowmanship. Upon the death of his father, the clan elders instructed Hanzo to straighten out his wayward younger brother, so that he, too, might help rule the Shimada Empire. When his brother refused, Hanzo was forced to kill him. This act broke Hanzo's heart and drove him to reject his father's legacy. ultimately leading him to abandon the clan and all that he had worked so hard to attain. Now, Hanzo travels the world, perfecting his skills as a warrior, attempting to restore his honor and put the ghost of his past to rest. So there you have it, guys. That will be it for this week's Overwatch Lookout. I am EctoMaster. If you like this video, go ahead and hit that subscribe button below. Don't forget to comment, like, share, and all the other fun stuff. As always, I am EctoMaster, and I will see you next week with another episode. Until then, keep an eye, keep a lookout for the Overwatch.